Gilmet here for another episode of California Business Compass, where our intention is to bring great resources and advice because we know dealing with this treacherous business environment in California can be a pain. So today we have Jeon from Brayn Consulting. So Yong, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Alex.
All right. So Young, I've known you for a while and you've helped some of my clients, and that was specifically in that employee retention tax credit.
Mhm.
But I know you do a lot more. So can you explain what you do and what you and your colleagues over at Brayn provide for clients?
Yeah, a great question, Alex. And when people think of the tax code or the IRS, they think of, oh, it's another administrative burden. Oh, I have to pay taxes. But we think of the tax code as a source of revenue, right? And there's plenty of tax code sections out there that a lot of businesses should be taking advantage of. So we help people who either come up with new improved products or processes, whether it be high tech, biotech. There's the R&D tax credit portion of it, but also we help a lot of people who design, think of architects and engineers who build, invest in, and develop commercial real estate to mitigate their taxes. And um, there's a variety of things we could do, but the thing about how we're different is that we have actual industry experience. I'm just not a salesperson. I have tax litigation, tax planning, and tax research experience, and my engineers have actually designed buildings. So we know where the rubber meets the ground, right? Because there's a lot of tax advisors who'll just kind of talk about the tax code, but not really apply it, how it works in the real life. So that's what we do.
Awesome. Awesome. So, yeah, I was going to ask you, so tax code related, and you're getting credits back for your clients. And you mentioned architects, engineers, um, construction, I would imagine. Are there
Yes.
other industries?
Construction, the trades, people who invest in commercial real estate and develop commercial real estate. Yeah, so those are our big um, client base that we work with.
Yeah, awesome. So that cost segregation is part of that service?
Exactly. So there's cost segregation where you can write off 15 to 30% of the value of the building, right? Whether you buy it or renovate it, right? The ideal target um, would be about $500,000 or more in investment or acquisition or renovation. That's what we look at. But then also, there's a lot of other different incentives to layer on top of that. If you make it energy efficient, there's about $5 a square foot. And also, if you develop commercial real estate, I mean, not commercial real estate, but if you develop a multi-dwelling unit in, like, let's say, a condo or a apartment complex or single family home, you might be eligible for another tax incentive that might be worth up to $5,000 per
Hmm.
unit.
Oh, per unit.
Yeah, and
Okay.
because of our expertise, we're able to try to see if we can stack those credits one and incentives or one on top of each other.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And I know that we had talked about this before, but one of the industries you work with is transportation.
Yeah.
What do you use? What do you do there? How's that
For
work?
transportation, there's a fuel excise tax credit, right? And then also there's other things where if there's logistics involved, let's say maybe they have a facility that they purchased or renovated, there's cost seg on that. They make it if they made it energy efficient, there's up to $5 a square foot, 179D deduction, right? And then also there might be some R&D. Because in those big transportation companies, there might be some software or hardware that's implemented to make the logistics more efficient. So there's a different variety of incentives out there. And what we do is we give a free phase one estimate to see if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Got it. Okay. An excellent segue. I was going to ask you about the process. So tell us, how does that process work?
Yeah. So, we'll meet with a client for either virtually or over the phone or in person, and then we'll gather some information. And What we will provide is a free phase one estimate to see if there's something worthwhile. And we'll involve the CPA because the CPA really understands whether or not this credits or deductions or overall the incentives really make an impact for the client. So we try to keep it, transparent, no hiding of the ball, so everyone knows what's going on, right? Because we see no value in helping to generate all these tax incentives, but if they can't use it, we don't want a very unhappy client or CPA or other partner.
Yeah, interesting. So someone would reach out to you that say, hey, I'd like to look at, you know, using these services, and then it's that phase one kind of assessment. You figure out whether or not, what did you say, whether
Juice is worth
the
the squeeze.
juice is worth the squeeze. And if it is, then you move forward with the process.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll give them the estimate, but also a fee for our services, right? And that fee will never change. We won't increase it so they know exactly what they're being paid for or what they're paying for. And then also we provide audit support in case the feds or the states come a knocking. So it'll
Mhm.
be a field audit and all the way up to appeal. So we'll always be there with no extra fee if they ever come under an audit.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that must be a huge, you know, a benefit for the client, have safeguards so that they know that if they do get jammed with an audit, that they've got the support.
Yes, correct. Uh-huh.
Interesting, interesting. Okay. And then how long does it take to go through this process? After the phase one assessment, they say, yes, I want to move forward. Like, what's that time frame?
Yeah, it depends on the type of project, but typically it'll take about a good I'd say 2.5 through 3 months, right? But if there are some circumstances where the numbers need to be completed on an expedited basis, we could try to make that faster, but typically 2.5 to 3 months.
Okay. And I know this is a hard question, but
Mhm.
like an idea of how many businesses do you think are out there that could use something like this, but have never even looked into it?
You know what? Like Forrest Gump. Right? Remember in that movie where he opens up a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get. Every day is a surprise. With that being said, I'm surprised still a lot of companies just don't know about it. Either they don't know about it or their CPAs don't know about it because the CPAs, God bless them, right? A lot of times they're really busy doing the compliance work, right? So sometimes they just don't are not aware of these things, and we don't compete with CPAs. We work
Mhm.
hand in hand with them by providing these numbers, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of companies that just don't know, but hey, it's worthwhile taking a look at, especially if it doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, for that phase one assessment. Yeah, that's great. Okay, and then Young, you had mentioned that there were some changes to your company.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. As of April the 1st, we were acquired by Ryan. It's one of the world's largest tax incentive firms. So they service the very, very large firms, right? Large companies, but we will still be able to service our middle to smaller firms. But with that being said, we'll be able to offer things such as property tax, sales and use tax audits, um, and also more expansion on the fuel excise tax recovery. So there's just a big wealth of services that we could provide. And with that being said, we will still be able to provide free phase one estimates to see if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Outstanding. Yeah, congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay, and how about a little bit about you, Young, outside of the tax code law? What do you enjoy doing? What's your
You
story?
know, you know, uh, I I kind of sometimes miss my Bruce Lee days, so I try to ride my bike, right, lift, and I'm a big fan of all things military sci-fi. Uh,
Oh,
so I travel now and then, so I'll either pick up a book or I'll listen to the audio books about various military sci-fi
I
books.
love it.
Uh,
Okay, yeah, I didn't see that coming. I love it.
yep. And oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, is there anything else you want to provide? Because I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, really at the end of the day, think of it this way, the money I save your clients or my clients, that's money that they could use for their own personal or business uses. And there's a lot of you know, tax incentives out there. Just you just want to make sure that, you don't leave anything on the table. By leaving
Mm,
some on the table, that becomes money, right? And you owe it to yourself to explore all the different options that are out there.
yeah.
Because if you're
Yeah.
not, someone else isn't. Someone else is, right? And you always want to be up to par or one step ahead of your competition and make sure that you make all the business decisions that are right, but also taxes are a very important factor of that business decision.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's great to make a buck, but you've got to keep the buck, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and what I like to say is I put the smile into the tax code. No.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's quite a statement. Okay, Young, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to put your contact information in case people want to reach out to you directly. And I would encourage everyone, as Young said, like it's difficult enough in this environment. If you can get ahead using smart people who know the tax code, it's good to do. And Young and the folks at Brain Consulting, they know their stuff.
And which is now part of Ryan Tax.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you all for being here at this episode of California Business Compass, where again, our intention is to bring great qualified resources like Yong to the table. So I encourage you to reach out to him if you can use his help. And it's worth looking at. So thanks again for being here, Yong. And thank you all for attending this episode. We'll see you again soon.